welcome our next speaker. Val is an instructional mentor for Waukee schools and is here to share lessons from her work with kids and yoga. This is Val.
All right, well, as I'm sure our other speakers here today can relate to, I had a lot of nerves coming into today. And in fact, a couple weeks ago, I was sitting in the parking lot at the downtown studio at Power Life, and I sent this text to my good friend Allie and just kind of shared some of those fears, and I'll go ahead and read it to you. Hey, on my long drive today, I started having second thoughts about Warrior Talk. I'm just nervous that I won't be able to weave together all of the thoughts that I have, and when would be a definitive date that you would need to know? Yeah, and so I just put the phone down, left it in the car, and walked into the studio. And in that time before class started, I was just sitting there on my mat with lots of thoughts running through my head, like, why did you say you would do this? You hate talking in front of people. And those of you in this room who have interviewed me for a job or seen me talk in public, you know my biggest fear was, crap, you're gonna get really red. And so all of that was running through my head. And then class started, and I still don't really know what it is about yoga, if it's just the ability to just breathe or just move, but whatever it was, at the end of class, I walked out and knew that I could do it. And clearly here I am. So I kind of dabbled with yoga for about 5 years, but I wouldn't call myself a yogi until I found Power Life Yoga a couple summers ago. And that space, obviously there's a great community. You can see one of the events, but it's really helped me a lot. One thing, it's given me the ability to be more of a risk taker. I've applied for jobs this year that I probably wouldn't have a couple years ago. And in fact, it's not that I just thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna get that job. In fact, one of the jobs I applied for I didn't get, but I was able to move on really quickly from that, and now I'm in a job that I think is even more amazing and a better fit for me. So it's also, yoga has given me the ability to be a little more empathetic and not make up stories about other people in my head. And what I mean by that is, if a friend doesn't respond to a text right away, instead of thinking, oh shoot, did I make them mad in some way or something like that. Or if a parent maybe sends an email and I instantly judge them and, they just don't know what they're talking about. I've had more of ability to sort of step back and think about maybe what's going on in their life. And lastly, I've sort of learned to not let the small stuff get in the way anymore and kind of just ignore negativity, whether it be on social media or just other things. I just kind of let it slide on by. So that's how yoga has made a difference for me. And a couple weeks after starting, I saw a poster for kids yoga teacher training. And I decided right away to sign up for it because it would marry two loves, well, besides my husband up there, or over there, you moved. Besides that, just my love of working with children and kids every day, and then also just being healthy and yoga. So this actually popped up on my Time Hop, it's a great app if you don't have it, a couple weeks ago, and I kind of forgot that I had said that, but the weekend really was just kind of magical. I was around a lot of like-minded people who, most of them were practicing yoga themselves, but worked with kids in a different capacity, and I knew about the end of the weekend that I had to go out and share this experience, and my life was probably never going to be the same after doing it. And so I've had the opportunity to teach kids yoga through Waukee's Community Ed program, and then at Power Life, and then also I've been able to work with some really open-minded guidance counselors in our district who have asked me to work with students during the school day who maybe need a little more calm in their lives, or just a chance to just breathe a little bit during the day. So I could go on and on about the benefits of it, but I just want to highlight 3 main things that I think about how kids can benefit. Strength doesn't come from what you can do, it comes from overcoming the things you once thought you couldn't. And I've seen some of the other speakers talk a little bit about this already, but in my work with kids, I see sometimes how failure paralyzes them. A couple weeks ago at an assembly, at school assembly, the kids were doing a game and 3 grade levels were competing, and it was a relay race just to practice synergy, habit 6 for you Leader in Me people. And a couple kids on the losing team, just instant tears. And it was just this fun, silly game. And then also, I still see, for those of you who aren't teachers here, we use beginning, developing, and secure to assess our kids. And I still see a lot of kids who struggle if they're developing. They think they need to get it right the first time. So through yoga, we can teach kids how to fail, which might sound kind of silly, but you know, if you're going to fail your whole life. So yoga teaches them to be okay with that and learn how to work through it. So if you don't get a pose the first time, you know, just keep practicing. Or if something doesn't feel right, it's okay to just stop and again, just take a deep breath. And in yoga classes, we have a motto: you have to try everything once, or you get to. And then if it doesn't feel right in your head or your heart or your body, that's okay. You don't have to do it. So you can just, you know, drop down into child's pose. So hopefully kids start to take that message with them, that if something doesn't feel right, you know, in a friendship or out at recess or something like that, it's okay. You don't have to do it. And you can also just take deep breaths to work through those things. But like I said, we do focus a lot on breath in yoga. The next benefit of teaching kids yoga, I love this quote, that a flower does not think of competing to the flower next to it, it just blooms. And in my work, I see a lot of, and don't get me wrong, I grew up playing team sports, I see the value in competition, but at a parent-teacher conference, a few years ago, I had just gotten done sharing all the ways that the child had grown with the parents. And the first question that the parent asked was, well, where does my 8-year-old rank in his 2nd grade class? And so I was like, well, we don't really do that, but, you know, so I just think that there's a lot of pressure from all of us, we're all guilty of it, on forcing that competition. But instead in kids yoga, we really do talk about making yourself better each and every day. And it's not about being better than the person on the mat next to you. It's about, you know, improving yourself. And that was actually a struggle for me when I first started yoga. I would kind of get pissed if the person next to me could hold the pose longer, but I've definitely been able to work through that and see that that's not really what yoga is about. And there's kids who just don't have that competitive edge too, and that's okay. So kids yoga can be a really great outlet for them to just be active and move without it being a competition. And as you can see too from that picture, we encourage kids to work together for partner poses and things like that. And lastly, if you've heard me talk about kids yoga, you know I talk about how much fun it is. And I love this quote, that creativity is intelligence having fun. And this might be one of my favorite photos of all time. I took the photo, I was in the class, but other teachers were leading acro yoga. And as you can see, my friend Gabe up there is just having so much fun. And so I feel like in a world where kids can grow up really quickly, it's still nice to give them a space where they can just be kids, to be kind of weird, a little bit silly, and then, you know, we as teachers get in there right along with them. So making up poses to match animals or, you know, just things like that. So I've talked a lot about, you know, how yoga has impacted me and how I think it can impact kids, but I'd like to end by just taking a page out of Reading Rainbow, for those of you who are familiar with it, and say, don't take my word for it, take theirs. So I asked several kids to share with me what yoga means to them. And in the spirit of creativity, they all had 3 very different responses. Gabe made me, who you just saw, an entire PowerPoint presentation about why he loves kids yoga. But this is just one slide. He said on this slide that it's about being friendly. It's a great way to make new friends. It makes you feel happy, and instead of being sad, you're happy. Another student, she actually goes to Waukee, is Cassidy, and she drew this for me, and she said that she likes kids yoga because I get to try new things. I like the stories that go with poses, and kids yoga makes me feel powerful and brave. And lastly, Bea, I don't think she's here today, but I see her dad. She has taken my classes at Power Life, and she made me a piece of artwork, and on each little triangle, she wrote a word about how yoga makes her feel. And I know you can read them, but it's nice to hear too. So happy, brave, excited, loved, peaceful, healthy, smart, strong, and glad. So if you're sitting, I know there's people in this room who do yoga, but if you haven't tried it yet, I would really encourage you to step outside your comfort zone and experience some of the feelings that I've had doing yoga. There's many ways to get involved. There's pop-up classes around town, a lot of studios that offer free weeks. So I really encourage you to just try something new and see the benefits that I've seen and that the kids have seen. Thank you.